Namaskar and very warm welcome to all the viewers and learners in this very special webinar series listening to learn यानी कि सुने और सीखें। आप हमें देख रहे हैं हमारे PME विद्या चैनल्स पे, चैनल नंबर 9 to 12, and apart from all these channels you are with us on our YouTube channel as well, that is NCERT official and NCERT PME विद्या class numbers 9 to 12। और जैसा हमने आपको बताया कि हमारी स्पेशल वेबिनार सीरीज़ है जो कि डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एजुकेशन इन साइंस एंड मैथमेटिक्स NCERT की तरफ से आपके लिए हम लेकर आए हैं और इसमें हम बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक्स पे बात करते हैं। लिसनिंग टू लर्न यानी कि सुने और सीखें, ये हमारा 106वां सत्र है यानी कि 106th सेशन है और आपके लिए हम ये सेशन लेकर आते हैं और आपके लिए ही ये सारी बातें की जाती हैं जो आपको जानना ज़रूरी है कि हमारे आसपास क्या कुछ हो रहा है। आज हम बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक पे बात करने वाले हैं व्यूवर्स। हम बात करेंगे बायोडाइवर्सिटी पार्क्स ऑफ दिल्ली, नेचर बेस्ड सोल्यूशन फॉर एनवायरमेंटल सस्टेनेबिलिटी, यानी कि दिल्ली की जैव विविधता पार्क पर्यावरणीय स्थिरता के लिए प्रकृति आधारित समाधान। और हम सभी को पता है कि बायोडाइवर्सिटी पार्क बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाते हैं क्योंकि ये लोकल बायोडाइवर्सिटी को प्रिजर्व करते हैं और इसके बारे में हम क्या कुछ स्पेशल जानने वाले हैं आपको हमारे एक्सपर्ट बताएंगे। लेकिन उससे पहले हम आपको कुछ बातें शेयर करना चाहेंगे ताकि आप हमसे कनेक्ट कर सकें, अपनी जितनी भी बातें, अपने फीडबैक्स हैं वो हम तक पहुँचा सकें। वी रियली वॉन्ट यू टू पार्टिसिपेट इन दिस लाइव इंटरेक्शन विद ऑल योर क्वेरीज। यू कैन कॉल अस ऑन आवर टेलीफोन नंबर, दैट इज 8800 और आप हमें ईमेल भी भेज सकते हैं। हमारा ईमेल एड्रेस आपको अपनी टेलीविज़न स्क्रीन पर फ्लैश होता हुआ नज़र आ रहा है जो है dth.class12@ciit.nic.in। इन केस आप हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल्स पे हैं तो बहुत आसान है हमसे जुड़ना। आपको जाना है लाइव चैट बॉक्स में, वहाँ पर अपना कमेंट ड्रॉप करना है। आप जैसे ही कमेंट ड्रॉप करेंगे आपका कमेंट तुरंत हम तक पहुँच जाएगा और जो भी बात आप हमारे एक्सपर्ट से शेयर करना चाहते हैं वो भी हम तक पहुँच जाएगी। तो आप ये बातें ज़रूर आप इसे याद रखें। इसके साथ ही हम कुछ स्पेशल लिंक्स और बातें आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहेंगे। अगर आप हमारे इस पूरे लिसनिंग टू लर्न सीरीज़ को देखना चाहते हैं तो हमारे पास एक स्पेशल लिंक है आप सभी के लिए। आपको इस लिंक पे जाना है और ये लिंक आपको अपनी टेलीविज़न स्क्रीन पे दिखाई दे रहा है जो है ncert.gov.in/webinar_series.php और यहाँ पर आप हमारे पूरे प्रीवियस सेशंस को एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं। वी रियली वांट यू टू एक्सप्लोर ऑल दीज सेशंस। और हम इसके अलावा एक और बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट बात आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहेंगे कि आप हमारे प्रोग्राम को पसंद करते हैं, इसमें पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं तो आपके लिए हम एक सर्टिफिकेट भी लेकर आए हैं। सर्टिफिकेशन भी है आप सभी के लिए, लेकिन ये आपको तभी मिलेगा जब आप गूगल फॉर्म को अच्छे से फिल करेंगे। तो आपको हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल पर जाना है और लाइव चैट बॉक्स में आपको वहाँ पर एक गूगल फॉर्म भी दिखाई देगा। तो जो गूगल फॉर्म अच्छे से भरेगा ओनली दोज पार्टिसिपेंट विल गेट अ सर्टिफिकेट। तो आप ज़रूर उन सभी बातों को फॉलो करें जो आपको सर्टिफिकेट दिला सकती है। हम बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक पे आज बात कर रहे हैं और इस पूरी सीरीज़ को हम आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक्स के साथ जो हमारे समाज के लिए, देश के लिए और पर्यावरण के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है। और हमारे साथ हमारे बहुत एमिनेंट एक्सपर्ट्स जुड़ चुके हैं। चलिए आप सभी का परिचय करवाते हैं। आप हैं डॉक्टर गगन गुप्ता, आप DSM NCERT नई दिल्ली से हैं। सर वेरी वार्म वेलकम सर।
नमस्ते रेणु जी, नमस्ते साथियों, नमस्कार। आज एक बार फिर से मैं आपके सामने हूँ। आज मैं आपके साथ बायोडाइवर्सिटी पर बात करेंगे। इस शो की शुरुआत 2021 अगस्त 2021 में हुई थी। पूरे 4 बरस हो रहे हैं, वो भी 8 अगस्त थी। पूरे 4 बरस आज हुए हैं। आज हम अपनी चौथी वर्षगांठ 106वें सत्र के रूप में मना रहे हैं। हमने इस शो के दरमियान बहुत सारे विषयों पर बात की है। हमने ऊर्जा से जुड़े हुए विषयों पर बात की है, हमने संसाधनों से जुड़े हुए विषयों पर बात की है, हमने एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप से जुड़े हुए विषयों पर बात की है, हमने स्वास्थ्य के साथ जुड़े हुए विषयों पर बात की है, हमने स्टोरी ऑफ वाटर के ऊपर बात की है, हमने घड़ियालों के संरक्षण के ऊपर बात की है। ये सारे शोज़, जैसा कि मेरी साथी रेणु ने अभी बताया, आपको दिए गए लिंक पर मिल सकते हैं। साथ में ही यदि आप ncert.nic.in हमारी जो ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट है उसके इवेंट सेक्शन में जाएं तो वहाँ पर भी आपको सारे शोज़ मिलेंगे। आज की बात इसी, जैसे मैंने अभी पानी की कहानी के बारे में बात की, घड़ियालों के संरक्षण के बारे में बात की, उसी क्रम में आज का ये शो बायोडाइवर्सिटी पार्क के ऊपर है। आज दिल्ली का मौसम थोड़ा बेहतर है, 30 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड के लगभग तापमान है। हमारे स्टूडियो का मौसम भी बहुत अच्छा है क्योंकि मेरे साथ मेरे दोस्त फयाज़ अहमद खान सर आज मेरे साथ है, जो कि आज आपके साथ इस विषय पर बहुत खुलकर और बहुत अच्छे से बात करेंगे। साथियों, मैं आपको याद दिलाऊं कि अगर आज से 50 साल पहले का अगर दिल्ली का टोपोग्राफी अगर देखें तो आज और 50 साल पहले की टोपोग्राफी में काफ़ी अंतर नज़र आता है। दिल्ली काफ़ी हरियाली हो चली है, दिल्ली का मौसम भी काफ़ी अच्छा हो चला है। हमारे विभिन्न विभिन्न प्रयास रहे हैं। इन प्रयासों को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए जो व्यक्ति ने बहुत अहम भूमिका निभाई है दिल्ली के अंदर और दिल्ली के बाहर के दूसरे नेशनल पार्क्स में भी, वो शख्स आज मेरे साथ हैं, डॉक्टर फैयाज अहमद खुदसर। आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है खुदसर साहब। मेरे दोस्त हैं खुदसर साहब। और साथियों, इन्होंने हमारी बात होती रही, बहुत मुश्किल से आज हमारे हाथ लगे हैं। आज आपके सामने हम ला पाए हैं। हम बहुत शुक्रगुजार हैं खुदसर साहब के। साथ साथ हम शुक्रगुजार हैं दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय के भी, जिन्होंने कि हमारे साथ NCERT के साथ इस प्रोग्राम में अपनी सहभागिता दिखाई है। इससे पहले कि मेरे साथी खुदसर आपके सामने बात करें, मैं खुदसर साहब का आपके साथ एक थोड़ा सा उनके बारे में बताना चाहता हूँ। खुदसर साहब PhD from Jivaji University, Gwalior in 1994, is presently associated with the Biodiversity Conservation Program of Delhi University at its Center for Environmental Management of Degraded Ecosystems. Khusar Saab obtained his master's degree in environmental biology from the University of Delhi and diploma in environmental law from the World Wildlife Fund India New Delhi Center in 1997. Khusar Saab also completed his training of trainers conservation program practitioner course from the George Mason University, United States. Khusar Saab has also been a guest faculty for Indian Forest Service probationers at the Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy, Dehradun, popularly called IGNFA, very prestigious institution. Khusar Saab has more than 20 years of experience in the field of establishment and management of biodiversity parks. अभी आपको आज बताएंगे कि इन्होंने किस तरह से बायोडाइवर्सिटी पार्क्स की शक्ल को बदला है पिछले 20 वर्षों में. And he has had an experience with the biodiversity assessment and monitoring, wetland management, environmental education and communication, and community participation in conservation. He is also involved in teaching and supervising in evaluation and training of master's students, PhDs and professionals from forest department, etc. By training he is a teacher, by passion he is a teacher, but he is equally having interest in research, which the research areas include the monitoring wildlife population and biodiversity assessment, techniques for capturing and translocating wild animals. आप सुनेंगे आज इसके बारे में कि कूनो किस तरह से बना. Then he has had the surveys of aquatic animals. He has supported forest departments of Bihar, Chhattisgarh and Uttar Pradesh and in the establishment of biodiversity parks. He has also been associated with the Kuno Wildlife Sanctuary in preparing the baseline ecological data. He has also been instrumental in establishing the 3 acres Ayurvedic garden at Somaya Ayurvihar, Sion, Mumbai. Khuddar Saab is nearly having 13 research articles to his credit and 6 technical reports. He is of course the recipient of Carl Zeiss Roll of Honor 2008 for his excellence in wildlife conservation and of Certificate for Excellence 2021 for excellence in teaching by the Dainik Jagran. खैया साहब, एक बार आपका फिर से स्वागत है. और आज दोस्तों, आज के प्रोग्राम में जितनी भी स्लाइड्स दिखाई जाने वाली हैं वो सब या तो प्रोफेसर खैयात साहब की, खुदसर साहब की अपनी स्लाइड्स हैं या फिर वो ओपन सोर्सेज से ली गई हैं. आप उनका उपयोग कर सकते हैं. हम आपसे उम्मीद करते हैं कि जब आप उनका उपयोग करते समय इस प्रोग्राम का और मेरे दोस्त फैयाज अहमद खुदसर साहब का रेफरेंस ज़रूर देंगे. खुदसर साहब, इट्स ऑल योर्स. वेलकम वंस अगेन.
Thank you so much, sir. It's very interesting to see a serious issue at Dharali village of Uttarkashi. So first of all, I'd like to pay homage to the people from that village. And that area, that incident itself shows the importance of biodiversity in our life. What happened, how river took a tragic route, how it has become catastrophic, how it brought catastrophic event. And therefore sustainability plays very important role, we must understand, and sustainability can only be brought through biodiversity, and therefore I chosen this topic, knowing the fact that even though we have many things growing and we are gaining a lot of things, but when you look at the system today, that in fact largely the quality forest is shrinking, rivers are dying, wetlands are drying. It itself gives you an idea that there is something wrong, because we have make a paradigm shift in our development program, and the development program, what I consider it today as a business model of development, and that is creating serious problem. And whenever we think about any environmental problem, any sociological problem, we put population as a overpopulation as a major reason. But when you look at the other scientists, the famous scientist Edward Osborne, if you look at it, Wilson has different way to project it, and he very well documented saying that overpopulation alone is not responsible for serious biodiversity loss, but it is overpopulation and wasteful consumption. What do you mean by wasteful consumption? In fact, when you look at wasteful consumption, it means few have everything and large population is suffering, and therefore both together brings lot of problem, and it could push half of the earth species to extinction in this century itself. So what is important, how we see, how we think about it? Actually, when you look at the nature which works through evolution, and the foundation of evolution itself suggests the mutual regulation of population sizes. And it is very critical, because we have a very limited environmental resource, and when you have a very limited environmental resource, nature has its own way to control the population. And it's very interesting to see that whenever population of one species dominates, nature through its pest and pathogen controls it. And we have best example that when half of the planet was under lockdown during COVID-19 pandemic, our air quality was excellent. The river pollution drastically declined, and knowing the fact that both has great impact on ecosystem, and ecosystem started functioning well. And so when you look at it, it means that controlling the population size, enhancing the environmental quality. Therefore, understanding environment is very critical for attaining long-term sustainability. How you do it? We need to understand environment. It is not it looks like a big word, but it is simply seen as a physical surrounding of earth, which includes a lot of living, non-living organism together, and it plays very important role, and that role is very critical for all the living organism. I give you one example. Dr. Gagan has mentioned ghadial, the Gavialis gangeticus, an endemic to India and critically endangered, and Chambal National Park has the largest breeding population of ghadial. One component like temperature plays so much important role in controlling the determining the sex of the animal. It is very interesting to see in case of ghadial, which I kept surveying in Chambal, and when we saw that when the depth of the sand plays very important role. And first I will like to let you know that how when temperature is about 30 degree, all the hatchlings are females, but when temperature grows to 32, 34 degree, the probability of becoming male become very high, and when temperature is about 32 degrees Celsius, the mixed population comes up, and it is a very serious problem when you see in area like Chambal, where sand banks plays very important role. Now what happens? Actually, when you need a lot of sand for your construction, slowly you are extracting sand from that area, and therefore the thickness of the sand decreases, and the poor ghadial, when usually it dig to lay egg, it has less availability of sand, and only when the sand is thick, it buried properly by the ghadial, eggs are buried properly by the ghadial, only then sex determination properly takes place through the temperature. So now you look at the small disturbance in sand itself creates problem for a species like gharial, and therefore environment is very critical for us. So when gharial's ecosystems are declined, there is a serious problem in male female ratio in Chambal, and therefore entire ecosystem is disrupted, and therefore understanding ecosystem is very, very important. It sounds a big word, but when you look at it, ecosystem is nothing but air, water, soil, organism, and their interaction. In fact, this interaction plays very important role. How it does? You will surprised to know that interaction produces variety of ecological goods and services worth millions of rupees, billions of rupees, which gives you air and water, which gives you many things for our own survival. But many changes is taking place in ecosystem which is unprecedented, which is disrupting these interaction and causing instability to the ecosystem, and which in fact creating and causing serious 21st century environmental challenges. And how you see what are those environmental challenges? When you look at those challenges, they are in fact slowly becomes driver for unsustainability. And what are those challenges? When you look at those challenges, very interesting, especially urbanization and business model of development has wiped out natural heritage from most of the development matrix across the world, and consequences are very serious. You have air pollution hazard, and Delhi is the best example. The moment winter comes, we start looking at displacing ourselves from Delhi to some other places, because everybody is coughing, everybody is suffering. So the average air quality index goes more than 400, and it creates serious problem. And then when you look at the other problem, that is formation of heat island and how it affects, because in urban centers we go for more and more concrete, we have lot of buildings, we have wide roads, and in a country like India where we have more than 9 months of sunshine, we are constructing building with lot of glasses all around, and these glasses not only absorbs heat, but it increases the heat ambient temperature locally, and therefore what happens? Therefore we need such energy to cool down that temperature. And how you get such energy? You get such energy from a various expensive way. You produce electricity on the expense of environment, on the expense of lot of money, and then utilize those energy to cool down those malls and other places. So therefore these heat islands are creating serious problem for many species, right from insect to mammal. There is a serious depletion of groundwater table, and it is very evident in Delhi itself. In summer for 2 months we have a scarcity of water, we struggle hard, we see that how we procure water. And when you have less green cover, the surface runoff increases largely. River is becoming sewer, most of the rivers are becoming sewer because we are putting raw sewage into it, and it leads to loss of biodiversity, and all of these comes together and creates serious problem, and loss to resilience to climate. So these are the serious consequences. So therefore ecological sustainability is very, very critical for long term survival of the planet and its inhabitant, means we, forest and wildlife. And knowing the fact that biodiversity is very, very crucial minded. And how you sustain this biodiversity? You can only sustain this biodiversity through restoring the pristine ecosystem, for establishing ecosystem processes, because these ecosystem processes are essential to establish functional ecosystem, which ultimately gives you ecological goods and services. And therefore understanding sustainability is very, very important. How do you define sustainability? It is ability of an ecosystem, right? It is an ability of an ecosystem to maintain ecological processes. You may ask, what are those processes? In fact, these ecological processes are evolution, succession, biogeochemical cycle that gives stability to the ecosystem, and it happens over a longer period of time in the face of external stress. Only then you have a sustainable ecosystem. And what are these external stresses? These are, when you see pandemic which we have faced recently, we have drought, we have flood, we have earthquake. These all natural factors actually creates very serious stress on the ecosystem, and which brings unsustainability to your system. How you achieve sustainability? Actually, only the variety and variability of life forms and habitat can bring sustainability. What is variety and variability of life forms and their habitat? They are the biodiversity. Mind it, they are the biodiversity. In fact, they enable this ecosystem to carry out natural processes even in the face of external stress, because external stress you cannot stop. You have seen what happened in Aravalli. That was the external stress. You cannot stop it, because human mediated issues are creating serious problem to such ecosystem, and these external stresses are going to happen very frequently due to extreme weather pattern. Our action itself accelerated. Therefore, how you will sustain it? You can sustain it through biodiversity only. And when you look at the effect of these stresses, urban centers are more vulnerable, where encroachment and simplification of ecosystems are rampant. How do you see? I'll give you one of the example. When your ecosystems are fragmented, they are simplified. When they are simplified, the pest and pathogen tend to spill over, and when they come out, they create serious problem. They found alternate host, because most of the zoonotic disease comes out from the forest. And when you have an empty forest, when you have a fragmented forest, when you have a forest, unstable forest, where encroachment takes place, then these pest and pathogen comes out and creates havoc, what we have already seen in the case of COVID. So when you have a very complex ecosystem, when you have a functional ecosystem where ecosystem processing are established, then mind it, all these pests and pathogen, they get diluted within. They never come out, and therefore for sustainability you need to look at the functional ecosystem, and Delhi and NCR provides you best example to see that how the simplified and fragmented ecosystem we have. The first slide, if you see, this is river Yamuna, full of Eichhornia, a very serious weed, lot of construction all along the floodplain. We have created embankment. You look at the embankment to stop flooding. We have put river into two boundaries. Still within that boundary, we are not allowing river to flow properly, and we have faced 2023 flood in Delhi, and river reached to ISBT. River reached to Red Fort, suggesting that I am reclaiming the old area where I kept flowing. Similarly, when you look at the Aravalli hill ranges, you will see that Delhi has two life supporting landscape, river Yamuna and Aravalli hill ranges. Both are highly degraded. When you see Aravalli here in this photograph, you have roads inside, you have many buildings coming up, and the entire area is full of weedy species that is nothing but Vilaiti kikkad or Prosopis juliflora, which was brought by Britisher 200 years ago. Now you understand a system which has no native flora, how the system will initiate ecological process, and therefore if there is no ecological process established, then the system is not sustainable at all. So establishing ecological process, as I said, it is key for achieving sustainability, and because these ecological process in fact gives you large amount of ecological goods and services which contribute to human well-being. If you see that how we get COVID medicine, that COVID medicine also came through COVID, because you had a virus, through virus you prepared that medicine, and therefore these ecological process leads to many things, and the most important two component of our life, that is air and water, are product of these ecological processes. So how you establish ecological processes? As I said, that largely across the world, most of the areas are degraded. Most of the areas are not functional. So how you do it? You do it through ecological restoration. That is the only way. And what is ecological restoration? In fact, when you look at ecological restoration, you support an ecosystem for recovery which is degraded, damaged, or even lost. And it is not that anything and everything can do for can be done for ecological restoration, but ecological restoration is based on sound ecological principle. What do you mean by it? In fact, this ecological restoration principle suggests that you need to have a site. When you have a site, you look at the ecological history of the site. That is very, very, very important, mind it. If cannot be individual specific, it cannot depend on individual perceptions. It is based on the ecological history of the site. When you look at the ecological history, then you find out what was the forest, what was the organism, what was the system existed 200 years ago, what happened to those systems, what are the factors which actually destroyed that system. You have to look at those systems for establishment, and then when you have ecological history, you try to find out nearest most reference ecosystem to get it replicated at the site, and lastly on the basis of available what you call grants and human resource, slowly you intervene. It is not a magic. It is not one day process. It is an ecological process. It takes some time. Please give some time to the nature. Don't think overnight everything will be functional. And it is not a rocket science, in fact. It has very basic inputs which you need. It requires legumes, because most of the degraded ecosystem are devoid of nutrient. Which will give you nutrient? From where you get nutrient naturally? It is legumes. You know that legumes have lot of microbial association which takes nitrogen from the atmosphere, convert into nitrate and make your system what you call very fertile. Then grasses are the pioneer species, and the perennial grasses, when you look at these grasses, they are so wonderful. Always we see that mercilessly we crush grasses. Anytime we take out grasses without thinking that these grasses are life supporting. When you look at these grasses, in fact it has foliage up, and inside the soil it has huge root system, and this root system in fact releases lot of what you call metabolites, and those metabolites attract lot of microbes, and when microbes moves through the grasses, ecosystem processing initiated. It's very interesting. Then you need soil microbes, as I suggested. You need invertebrate. At the site which is degraded, when you initiate grassing, when you say bringing legumes, you will see that how insect like ants comes out, and how those insect carries seeds everywhere to initiate ecological restoration. You have many nematodes, many invertebrates which cut down the leaves and other plant material to initiate biogeochemical cycle. Then you need woody plants, you need pollinators, you need seed dispersal agent, and then your system get established. That is very interesting. And we in Delhi, in fact, we have done successfully ecological restoration, which further in few minutes I would be showing you. And we adopted nature-based approaches, and which built in fact the climate resilient ecosystem, and also contribute to urban environmental sustainability. And DDA Biodiversity Park in Delhi is one of such approaches. So further I would be taking you to the DDA Biodiversity Park of Delhi. These are beautiful now blue-green infrastructure of urban sustainability, and when itself you see this photograph after restoration, where we reached, where you have 3-story forest, where you have grasses and functional wetland ecosystem. Knowing the fact that Delhi Development Authority are largely involved in building up city, parks, etc. But finally the system understood that until unless you bring what you call quality of life, any city cannot be sustainable to a state, and therefore Delhi Development Authority in association with a Center for Environmental Management of Degraded Ecosystem of Delhi University started developing a network of 7 biodiversity parks, and today we have network of 7 biodiversity parks in Delhi. So knowing the fact that these biodiversity parks are not green areas, therefore it is not a simple green area, because every green area cannot be considered as a biodiversity park, and therefore we published a definition. What is a biodiversity park? In fact, biodiversity park is a unique blue-green infrastructure for restoring degraded landscapes and riverscapes, both landscapes and riverscapes by re-establishing the characteristic ecosystems through assemblage of species in the form of ecological or biological communities belonging to a specific ecological range. Here I would like to mention that why a specific ecological range. In fact, when you talk about river Yamuna or Aravalli hill ranges, while establishing and bringing assemblage of species, you cannot think about a species which are from Western Ghat. That cannot bring sustainability, and therefore these biodiversity park is different, and it has high biodiversity value and renders several ecosystem services having conservation, education and recreational importance. When you look at today, we have just initiated few monetizing few ecosystem services, and we tried finding out, and we found that the amount of water stored by Biodiversity Park is about more than 1,000 million gallons worth 650 crores rupees. Now you think about it, the amount of money being spent on these Biodiversity Park, water itself and many more than that amount. It itself suggests that how these Biodiversity Park become very important blue-green infrastructure for the city. Not only that, trees of Aravalli Biodiversity Park in Vasant Vihar stored more than 1,000 tons of carbon worth more than 13 crores of rupees, and per annum we earn about 2 crores rupees from carbon sequestration. You can see the amount of money we are earning. When you look at the Aravalli Biodiversity Park, how much water we recharge, and we earn about 6 crores rupees per annum from water recharge itself, and Delhi is a place we need, it is a arid semi-arid zone, we need a lot of water to be recharged. The amount of water we exploit, more water need to be recharged. The pollution removal efficiency of Aravalli Biodiversity Park is more than 11 tons per year, which earns about 72 lakhs rupees per annum, and trees of Aravalli Biodiversity Park in fact reduce AQI by 50%, which we have seen. And some of the ecosystem services we could not monetize, that is it acts as a hub for promoting practical environmental education, because you need to bring many more people looking at this system, working for this system and helping the country to bring environmental sustainability. We are working for other parks like Yamuna Biodiversity Park and Kamla Nehru Ridge, we have started recently, and these established ecosystem, you will be surprised to see that transformed in such a way that many more species such as sea boldy snake reappeared after 70 years, which we had lost. The hog deer was reported in 1892 and 1912 in Gazetteer. Now we have hog deer in the park. What it suggests? That ecosystem processing has been initiated. What do you mean by it? The trophic structure has been addressed, and that system is slowly becoming functional. We have a lot of people visiting it for environmental education. From across the country, students, teachers, forest officers trainees, IS trainees, they are range officers trainees, they are all visiting this park to learn. Even CAG sends over 30 countries for their training in these Biodiversity Park. We have network of CEMDE Biodiversity Park, as I suggested, and interestingly when you see it spread over an area of more than 2,500 acres and harbor about 3,000 species of plants and animals in the form of biological communities. They stay together, not plant alone. You have top canopy, middle story, understory and ground vegetation associated with insects, associated with invertebrate, vertebrate, many things together make it functional, and it provides a lot of ecological goods and services. If you see, it helps in carbon sequestration, which I shown. It purifies air because that act as a beautiful vegetation buffer, excellent vegetation buffer. It recharge groundwater, it buffer local weather, providing habitat for vanishing flora and fauna, serving a hub for environmental education. And when you monetize all these ecosystem services, it will come worth of several million rupees. In fact, this is the Biodiversity Park. So I would be talking about Yamuna Biodiversity Park, the first Biodiversity Park of the country, spread over an area of about 140 hectares, divided into two parts. When you see, there is phase 1, which is inactive floodplain, and there is a phase 2 which is active floodplain. This is inactive floodplain, it is active floodplain. And we have established one ecological corridor, if you see clearly, and there are a lot of people around it, you see, and river Yamuna flows like this. What do you mean by inactive floodplain? A place which does not receive flood water periodically, and there is an embankment made in 1978 when half of the Delhi, North Delhi, was flooded. In 1978 this Jagatpur Bund was established, and therefore there is no flooding this side, but still this active floodplain receives periodic flood from the river Yamuna, adjacent river Yamuna. So how we restore the floodplain, I would be trying to convey you through some of the slides, because restoration is not plantation, restoration is not afforestation, restoration is not reforestation, mind it. Ecological restoration is a systematic intervention. As I said, it is establishment of biological community, functional community, which follows principle of ecological restoration. So when you look at the Yamuna Biodiversity Park, this is phase 1, this is phase 2 on Google map, this is corridor. How we started, when we started, this was the area given to us, where you see it is a blank area, and first we intervene in phase 1. This is the current situation, where you have a narrow shallow wetland of more than 1.5 kilometer long, we have deep wetland, we have lot of vegetation around, you have established corridor which brings lot of animals which I have shown to you, and we have large wetland, restored wetland in what you call active floodplain. Initially when we got this piece of land, it was generally flat, it was a floodplain, but due to embankment it cuts off from the floodplain, and it was subjected to seasonal flooding. Some of the area, in fact, it was predominantly alkaline soil and saline water. These were the two what you call ecological challenges. What we have done, when we got this piece of land from DDA, DDA gives ownership belongs to DDA, and money given to Delhi University by DDA for the establishment and development of this park, management of this park. So when we came to this site, since this area was highly sodic, we tried seeing that how to restore it. It was a big challenge. So without utilizing any chemical. So in some of the paper we found that when we raise land, salt may leach down during monsoon or washed up during monsoon. So what we did, for which we tried looking at the in situ arrangement for it, because when you bring soil from somewhere else, it will not only cost money, but it will cause serious ecological disaster to the site. Therefore we started looking at the ecological indicators, and when we found there were indicators like phragmitis, typha, these grasses suggested that subsoil aquifer is very high. In other words, they were wetland which has been degraded, damaged, or filled with silt or filled with solid waste. So we utilized those indicators and we started desilting. You look at it, we desilted the area and material used to create these mounds, and we started bringing some of the native species like some of the cypress. Then finally when you go today, you will see this is the narrow shallow wetland with lot of grasses around. If you see, these are grasses, grassland, when you have 3-story forest. And you may ask what you achieve by doing it. We have restored the characteristic Tamarix phragmitis forest community which once existed all along the river. And what we achieved, you will surprised to know that this area become the only heronry found in Delhi. The only heronry. What do you mean by heronry? Heronry is congregation of many birds together, they breed. You see, you have data, near threatened species under IUCN, you have egrets, various egrets, and the beautiful bird, once it was breeding near Rajghat, that is black crowned night heron, started breeding. You look at the heronry, this is all heronry all around. So restoration inputs has brought many species and initiated ecosystem processing which has started giving you ecological goods and services. Similarly, we wanted to see that how migratory birds from Europe, Siberia, China should come, and we have found some of the what you call indicator species like typha, and we restored the wetland. If you see this wetland has been restored, and during winter we receive thousands of migratory birds from Europe, Siberia and China. You visit and see it, and this is the deep wetland which you can see. Similarly, when you look at it, when you look at it quickly, you see that how we have restored various ecosystem. We create these mounds, we brought grasses, and those grasses act as a pioneer. We established this what you call vegetation. This is three-story forest. The Leptocolova fusca, one of the beautiful grass we identified, and that grass has characteristic to reduce pH from 10 to 7. Then we played with over 50 species of grasses, and now these grasses become lifeline for the entire area, and we have three-story forests established. If you see, Prosopis juliflora is a serious problem. We utilize Professor Babu's technique, and we open the canopy, we remove the lantana from the ground, we brought native species. Now you see, because this biological invasion is one of the major drivers for unsustainability, and therefore for sustainability, in fact, that reduces sustainability, and this is the forest community established after eradication of woody weedy species. These are the various forest community which we have established over a period of time. And for establishment of forest community, we look at the diversity, we look at the form and structure, we look at the dominance, we look at the succession, we look at the nutrition of that what you call community, what you call as trophic structure, and through which we establish these forest community which became self-sustainable. And this is today's system. If you see, this is the wetland, forest community, and urban landscape in the surrounding, which is getting benefit out of such creation. Similarly, in the active floodplain, we restored a large wetland of 100 acres with the objective to keep substantial amount of flood water, because as I said, during summer 2 months is a pinch period for Delhi. If we utilize such offshore reservoir all across the river Yamuna, that will not only help river through lateral flow, but may provide drinking water facility to the Delhi. This was the status initially. If you see, degraded paleo channel. What do you mean by paleo channel? Historically, river was flowing from this side, due to meandering shifted somewhere else, and this area was highly silted, no water, less water, full of weedy species, and we restored the site. If you see, we restored the site, we desilted the site, and this is the present status which is storing large amount of flood water. Which you look at it, this is the present characteristic of what you call phase 2 of Yamuna Biodiversity Park, and you can look at the what you call chronological order, how it has changed. In 2007, how we have created this embankment through after the desiltation of wetland, the characteristic forest and grassland has been brought, and many species of animal came into it. That is very interesting. Many what you call prey predator, we have established prey predator dynamics, and its co-camp follower all came to it, including the phantom of the forest and gentleman of the jungle, the leopard. Similar, the other biodiversity park is Aravalli Biodiversity Park, which is situated near Vasant Vihar, a spread on area of 692 acres. We got many moram mined and what you call clay mined pits of various shape and size. Without changing the landscape, we restored the entire area. You look at it, we have restored the characteristic grassland and characteristic vegetation of Aravalli hill ranges, and these what you call pits are now acting as a recharging zone of rainwater, and these restored site started inviting many species, including breeding population of jackal. If you see, breeding population of jackal, beautiful royal rat snake hanging on the tree, and some of the birds like black eagle reappeared after 50-60 years. And this is the beauty of restoration, that only not initiate ecological processes, but it starts giving you home for many endangered and rare species. Similarly, Neela Hauz, that is one of the best example for nature-based solution, where Neela Hauz historically was providing drinking water to entire Mehrauli, the South Delhi historically, but over a period of time during Commonwealth Game, this entire Neela Hauz were filled up, full of sewage. So we utilize a method called constructed wetland system, and we restore this wetland back, which now from sewage silted area to a functional wetland ecosystem, which not only receive many resident birds, but a lot of migratory birds every year, and that has become model for replication everywhere in the country. Similarly, Tilpath Valley Biodiversity Park, which is near Sainik Farm, it is mythologically very important. It is being said that when Pandav asked for 5 villages, Tilpath Valley was one of them. It begins from Haryana, ends in Delhi. And when we restore the area, now natural rebuilding is taking place. You have many species coming here and breeding. If you see jackal breeding, and we have a lot of interaction with the human beings, because it became hub for education, imparting natural education, and these biodiversity park are acting as a laboratory, living laboratory to impart nature education. In Aravalli Biodiversity Park, we have camping site also, where we give excitement to the young school student that they can stay overnight and learn. So this is the biodiversity profile, how we started in 2002 with one park, that is the first biodiversity park of the country, that is Yamuna Biodiversity Park. Now we have network of 7 biodiversity park. The most recent park is Kalindi Biodiversity Park, and this is the various biodiversity slowly started entering into it over a period of time through restoration. So such biodiversity park in fact become ecologically resilient landscape with varying habitat types, water regime and altitudinal gradient, could contribute to adaptation through maintaining and restoring native plant community, wetlands and grasslands, and give you long term sustainability. In fact, any expenditure made on it should be seen as an investment, because biodiversity is life. Thank you so much.
ग्रेट फयाज साहब, हम तो बिल्कुल ऐसा लग रहा था कि बायोडाइवर्सिटी पार्क्स में नीला हाउस के अंदर चले गए। अब इजाज़त दें तो मैं आपसे कुछ बात करना चाहता हूँ।
बिल्कुल सर।
डॉक्टर साहब, यू टॉक्ड अबाउट द ग्रीन बिल्डिंग्स, द हीट आइलैंड्स, लेट मी स्टार्ट फ्रॉम देयर। सी, डेवलपमेंट ऑन वन साइड and restoration and nature's ecological sustainability are on the other side. Often it seems that as if they are in front, they should not. So with this connection, आज के दिनों में सोलर एनर्जी के ऊपर काफ़ी एम्फेसिस है। हम देखते हैं कोचीन एयरपोर्ट, which was the first airport in the country, जिसके पास में सोलर पैनल्स लगे, सोलर फार्म्स लगे। लेकिन वही ग्रीन बिल्डिंग्स की बात आपने की कि उसके आसपास का सारा मामला गड़बड़ा जाता है इतना शीशे की दीवारें होने की वजह से। तो क्या कुछ इस तरह के कुछ हम प्रोटोकॉल बना सकते हैं कि कहाँ पर हम इस तरीके की विकास की बात करें, कहाँ पर हम सोलर पैनल लगाएं और किस एरिया में ना लगाएं, जिससे कि हम डाइवर्सिटी और इकोलॉजिकल सस्टेनेबिलिटी को रख सकें?
Actually sir, where you see the most important part of it, that we need to understand that air and water, there are two important components. Yes. Any development which surpasses air and water must be stopped. That we need to agree. And therefore, there are many development programs are going on. These development should be look into these components, that are we crossing the limit? If yes, then you limit it. And how you limit it? In an Indian scenario, why do you need building with lot of classes? Why do you need it? It looks beautiful, there is no doubt in it, but we need to come out with some solution that earlier we had a thick wall, if you remember historically. Yes. And which were giving cooling effect, very high roof which were giving cooling effect. So those mechanism technologies are available with us. Probably I am not the right person to talk about building, but as far as green is concerned, we need to see that how to curtail energy budget, how to curtail our carbon footprint, and that can only achieve by biodiversity. The green areas which we are creating in the city or anywhere that are not providing that ecological goods and services, therefore we look at creation of such green areas that should resemble with biodiversity park, where you have 3-story forest, where you have wetland. Until unless you do it, achieving that goal of sustainability would be very, very difficult.
True, very true sir. So आपने याद दिला दिया मुझे गोलकुंडा फोर्ट इन पर्टिकुलर, जहाँ पर कि नेचुरल एयर कंडीशनिंग के इतने अच्छे प्रारूप आज भी दिखते हैं। लेकिन यदि आप डॉक्टर साहब, मुझे भरोसा है कि आपने उस गोलकुंडा फोर्ट को देखा होगा टॉप पर, कितना खूबसूरत उसमें जब हम बच्चे थे, जब जाते थे, कितना खूबसूरत उसमें फिर एयर कंडीशनिंग इफेक्ट नज़र आता था। लेकिन आज उसके कुछ हिस्से पर गवर्नमेंट ने देखें तो वहाँ पर कुछ स्टोर रूम बना दिया है और अब शायद वो एयर कंडीशनिंग इफेक्ट नहीं दिखता है वहाँ पर। तो यस, आई डू एग्री विद दिस कि हमें विकास के बारे में ज़रा सोचना होगा और थोड़ा सा ये ध्यान रखना होगा कि कहाँ पर हम करें और कहाँ ना करें। डॉक्टर साहब, इसी क्रम में हमारे दो हम NCERT में काम करते हैं। NCERT में हमारा जिम्मेदारी है स्कूल एजुकेशन के साथ काम करने की, हायर एजुकेशन के साथ काम करने की। इन सारे इश्यूज़ को हम अपने टेक्स्ट बुक्स में और टेक्स्ट बुक्स के अलावा दूसरे प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं उनमें भी समावेशन करने की पूरी कोशिश करते हैं और उनके बारे में अवेयरनेस फैलाते हैं। अब इस अवेयरनेस का एक सुखद पहलू ये है कि हमारे पास बहुत सारी जगहों से ये रिक्वेस्ट आती है और ये हमारे से राय मांगते हैं कि उनके यहाँ पहले तालाब थे, जो कि तालाब के आसपास कुछ मंदिर बन गए, बिल्डिंग बन गई और दूसरे जगह वहाँ पर विकास हुआ, तो उससे बाद में तालाब में पानी अब आना बंद हो गया। उसकी वजह जैसे आपने बताया कि वेटलैंड चैनलाइजेशन ऑफ वाटर जो रिवर से होता था वो अब कम हो गया है, उसका संकुचित हो गया है। तो ऐसी कुछ संस्थाएं आप हमें बता सकते हैं या हमारे व्यूअर्स को बता सकते हैं कि वो अगर ऐसी स्थिति और वो चाहते हैं कि वाटर रिस्टोरेशन इन देयर पॉन्ड्स इन देयर एरियाज टेक्स प्लेस, तो वो कहाँ जाएं, किससे बात करें?
सर, सबसे पहले तो मैं बताना चाहूँगा कि अगर वेटलैंड ड्राई हो रहे हैं तो इसका मतलब है जो नेचुरल ड्रेनेज पैटर्न था वो अवरुद्ध हो गया,
वो डिस्टर्ब हुआ।
वो अवरुद्ध होने का मतलब है कहीं रोड बन गए, कहीं बिल्डिंग बन गए। अगर हम ख़ास गौर करें और गौर करके हम ये बताने की कोशिश करें कि उन अवरुद्ध जगहों को फिर से चैनलाइज कर दें। अगर रोड है तो अंदर से पाइप लगाएं, अगर बिल्डिंग है तो उसके साइड से करें। क्योंकि अभी एक नदी देखने लखनऊ में गया था मैं, कुकरेल,
हाँ कुकरेल में हुआ
और
है।
उसका हमने एक छोटा रिपोर्ट बना के भी वन विभाग को दिया था कि अस्थि गांव से चलती है और रिवर मॉर्फोलॉजिकली मर जाती है। तो हमने पैदल चल के सारे रिवर को देख करके एक प्लान बनाया कि कैसे ये रिवर पुनर्जीवित होगी। तो रिस्टोरेशन तो बिल्कुल निश्चित रूप से हो सकता है और डेवलपमेंट और इन्वायरमेंट साथ साथ चल सकता है, लेकिन दोनों को बराबर का दर्जा देना होगा।
बराबर का दर्जा।
ऐसा हुआ कि बिजनेस मॉडल डेवलपमेंट में डेवलपमेंट ऊपर हो गया और इन्वायरमेंट हमने पीछे कर दिया, जबकि हमारे जीवन का आधार जो इन्वायरमेंट है उसको थोड़ा ऊपर रखना है और विकास को थोड़ा नीचे रखना है, तो दोनों साथ चल सकता है।
दोस्तों, मैं आपको याद दिलाऊं इस विषय पर इसी क्रम में कि देश के हर जिले में डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट या डिप्टी कमिश्नर जो भी वहाँ पर पोजीशन हो, उनके पास एक फंड है, उनके पास एक पूरा का पूरा विभाग है हर जिले में, जो कि इस तरह की वाटर रिस्टोरेशन प्रोसेसेस में हमारी सहभागिता कर सकते हैं और अपनी एक्सपर्टाइज दे सकते हैं। आपके इस बात पर आई एम ट्राइंग टू फिनिश इट अप, वाइंडिंग इट अप विद अ वेरी हैप्पी नोट विच माई कोलीग वाज सेइंग। हरप्रीत, दाग अच्छे हैं साहब, फ्लड में भी फ्लड भी अच्छी होती है कि साहब फ्लड में हमारा वाटर रिचार्ज सिस्टम होता है। और प्रोबेबली बिकॉज ऑफ दिस रीजन वी ऑफन से द एरिया जहां आप रहते हैं और मैं रहता हूं कि यमुना और हिंडन नदी के बीच का इलाका है और वहां पर अभी भी पानी काफ़ी है, उसके नीचे बेस में बेड में काफ़ी पानी है। तो शायद वो उन दोनों नदियों के द्वारा चार्ज और रिचार्ज वाटर्स का होता है। तो ये इसके बारे में कुछ आप एक बहुत सूक्ष्म तरीके से बता सकते हैं?
एक्चुअली आप देखें, मैंने तो बोला कि जब मैं ऐसे जगह पे पला बढ़ा हूँ, एक छोटी जगह खगड़िया, जहाँ वालिद साहब मेरे प्रोफेसर थे, एक तरफ कोसी, दूसरी तरफ गंडक, गंगा, 3 नदियों को हमने देखा। और वहाँ जब बाढ़ आती थी, हर साल बाढ़ में मेरे घर में पानी घुस जाता था, थोड़े समय की परेशानी होती थी, लेकिन हैंडपम्प लगाओ, खोदो, पानी पियो, पिलाओ, उगाओ, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी। पानी की बहुत मात्रा में पानी थी। आज उन जगहों पे भी मुझे बताया गया कि RO बॉटल में पानी भर के बेचा जा रहा है। तो न कहीं हमारी नदियों को रोकना, हमारे नदियों के बाढ़ को सीमित करना इम्पॉर्टेंट भी है, लेकिन हमें ये भी देखना होगा कि ये सीमित करना हमारे पानी को कितना सीमित कर पाता है, कितना रोक देता है।
जी, पानी तो बिकने लगा है, हवा भी बिकने लगी है, घरों में हमारे एयर फ्रेशनर्स और रूम फ्रेशनर्स तो आने लगे हैं। रेनू
सर, यहाँ पर बिल्कुल सर, क्योंकि समय हमें बिल्कुल अनुमति नहीं दे रहा है, हमें इस सत्र को यहाँ पे समाप्त करना होगा। लेकिन जाने से पहले हम फयाज सर आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करते हैं। थैंक यू सो वेरी मच सर कि आप स्टूडियो आए और आपने इतने अच्छे तरीके से ये पूरी टॉपिक जो है, इतने अच्छी कॉन्वर्सेशन और इंसाइटफुल बातों के साथ, वैल्यूएबल इन्फॉर्मेशन के साथ आपने हमारे व्यूवर्स तक पहुँचाया। आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। थैंक यू सर।
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
यहाँ पर गगन सर हम आपके पास आएंगे एंड वी वांट यू टू टेल अस अबाउट द अपकमिंग सेशन सर।
दोस्तों, अगस्त का महीना है। मैंने जैसे कहा कि आज हमारे 4 साल पूरे हुए हैं इस क्रम में। 106वां सत्र था आज हमारा। साथ में इस महीने में कुछ खास चीज़ें हैं। इस महीने में 22 तारीख को मेरे साथ NCPOR नेशनल सेंटर फॉर पोलर एंड ओशियानिक रिसर्च के डायरेक्टर प्रोफेसर राहुल मोहन मेरे साथ यहाँ स्टूडियो में होंगे, जो कि हमें बताएंगे कि फॉसिल्स किस तरह से टाइम कीपर्स का काम करते हैं। ये डिमांड आप साथियों आपकी हमारे पास आई थी, बहुत दिनों से हमारे साथ थी, और हम माफ़ी चाहते हैं कि हम देरी से इसको आपके सामने ला पा रहे हैं। लेकिन राहुल मोहन साहब हमारे साथ होंगे, जो कि हमें इस विषय पर बहुत गहनता से हमें समझाएंगे कि फॉसिल से हमारे टाइम कीपर्स किस तरह से काम करते हैं। उनका टाइटल होगा इकोज ऑफ द पास्ट, अर्थ जर्नी थ्रू मेगा टू माइक्रो फॉसिल्स, अतीत की गूंज, विशाल से सूक्ष्म जीवाश्मों तक पृथ्वी का क्रमिक विकास। साथ ही ये तो 22 अगस्त की बात है। साथ में 23 अगस्त को नेशनल स्पेस डे है। आप जानते हैं कि नेशनल स्पेस डे 23 अगस्त हर 23 अगस्त को मनाया जाता है, जो कि 1962 में सृजित हुए इंको स्पार या डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ स्पेस की एक्टिविटीज़ को अब तक की जो उसकी इम्पोर्टेंस है और जो उसकी अचीवमेंट्स हैं उनको सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए हम मनाते हैं। इस साल में भी हमने काफ़ी स्पेस पे काफ़ी काम किया है। पिछले 2-3 वर्षों में आपने देखा चंद्रयान 3, आदित्य L1, निसार, और हम इंडियन स्पेस स्टेशन में गए। इन सभी बातों पर चर्चा करने के लिए साथ में अभी हमारा आदित्य L1 जो हमारे L1 पॉइंट पर हेलो ऑर्बिट में है वो कार्यरत है। वो किस तरह से हमें सूचनाएं दे रहा है, उस पर बात करने के लिए मेरे साथ प्रोफेसर दीपांकर बनर्जी 23 अगस्त को यहाँ पर स्टूडियो में होंगे, और जो कि हमें नेशनल स्पेस डे के बारे में और बताएंगे ए जर्नी ऑफ आवर नियरेस्ट स्टार। रिमेंबर दैट इज आवर नियरेस्ट स्टार द सन,
राइट,
विद आदित्य L1 ऑब्जर्वेटरी। उसके बारे में हमें गहनता से बताएंगे। तो आपका स्वागत है। 22 और 23 अगस्त को हम आपके सामने एक बार फिर से आएंगे, फिर उसके बाद 29 अगस्त को हम आपके सामने एक नए विषय में होंगे। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।
धन्यवाद सर, आपका भी गगन सर कि आप आए और आपने अपना बहुमूल्य समय हमें दिया और इतनी अच्छी बातें हमारे सभी व्यूवर्स के साथ शेयर की। और अपने सभी देखने वालों को भी हम धन्यवाद करते हुए आप सभी को एक बार फिर से रिमाइंड कराना चाहेंगे, इन केस अगर आपको सर्टिफिकेट्स चाहिए, यू नीड टू फिल आवर गूगल फॉर्म, जो कि वहाँ आप जा सकते हैं हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल्स पे, और आपको लाइव चैट बॉक्स में वहाँ पे मिल जाएगा। हमारे पास एक डेडिकेटेड लिंक भी है प्लेलिस्ट की, आप वो भी वहाँ पर एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं, हमारे सेशन आप देख सकते हैं। और इसके साथ ही अपने सभी देखने वालों को हम बता दें कि यदि आप 4वीं और 7वीं कक्षा की लाइव NCERT की टेक्स्ट बुक्स लेना चाहते हैं तो आप अमेज़ॉन, फ्लिपकार्ट और NCERT ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट से ऑर्डर कर सकते हैं। बहुत ही क्विक मैं आपको बता दूं वो सभी प्रोग्राम्स जो आप दिन भर PME विद्या चैनल्स पर देख सकते हैं। और हमारा 11 बजे हम आपके लिए लेकर आए प्रशस्त ऐप, आप ये न्यू वर्जन जो इसका 2.0 है, इसके ऑनलाइन ओरिएंटेशन है। और इसके साथ हम आपको बता दें कि 2:30 बजे हमारा स्पेशल प्रोग्राम रहेगा परिचर्चा का, जिसमें हमारा टॉपिक रहेगा परसुइंग एक्सीलेंस, अ पाथवे टू सक्सेस एंड वेलबींग। और 5:30 बजे नीपा में हमारे स्पेशल प्रोग्राम में आप हमारे साथ बने रह सकते हैं। हम हरियाणा के एक स्कूल हेड से बात करेंगे, उनके जर्नी के बारे में जानेंगे कि क्या क्या चुनौतियां उन्हें आई और किन तरह से उन्होंने अपनी इन सभी चुनौतियों को, चैलेंजेस को ओवरकम किया। तो आप हमारे सभी तमाम सत्रों में अपनी क्वेरीज के साथ बने रहें। वी वांट यू टू पार्टिसिपेट इन ह्यूज नंबर। फिलहाल मुझे रेणु भट्ट को दे अनुमति, आप बने रहें PME विद्या चैनल्स पर और इन्फॉर्मेटिव प्रोग्राम्स के लिए। नमस्कार।